Good afternoon, everyone. So now we go into the last sections of today's conference. I think most of us would like to fall asleep, right? But I recall about the panel focus of this section is talking about the future service. Maybe we talk about future first. During the COVID-19, I think all of us is always hope for the future, right? And today, when we talk about what is future, maybe we can ask Marco. Where's Marco? Oh, you see, Marco is not here. Marco will tell me the future is now. And then I would like to ask our chairman, Mr. Zhang, where's our future? And then Mr. Zhang will say, the future is here, right? So when we are focused back to the future service, I think today we would like to discuss some of the initiative of our member firm. They create a lot of new services, especially for the advisory. So today we have 4 panel members here. I think they have already prepared to want to share with you about very exciting there are new services that we can offer, okay, to our clients. So maybe my first areas I would like to discuss is about the ESG. Okay, it's very these topics I think is very hot. Okay, so Thomas, I know that you're from Germany, right? Yeah. So Thomas, for the ESG services, you know, as now it's a very hot topics because it connect with the sustainability and also the climate changes. So Thomas, in Europe, when you are provide the ESG services to your client, okay, especially across the Europe, and what is about? Can share with us about any challenges and also any opportunities that when we are doing this kind of future services to our clients? Okay,
thank you. Yeah, it's maybe one of, or maybe the mega trend worldwide because of the climate change, what everybody can observe at the moment. That's why I think if we talk about the topic, I think we maybe have to observe or see different aspects. First of them, you can see the ESG finance topic, which means we have or we can observe pressure from the finance industry on the companies coming from the aspect that they have to bring social and environmental and governance aspects in the decision making of the industry. This means you can see that the rating agencies, they change their policies, that they have to integrate these ESG topics in the rating. You can see it in the banking decisions. Companies which are better or are greener get more or better conditions for loans. And finally, you can see, of course, the whole regulation topics, which means we get a lot of pressure from the European Union from the regulation side. This means not every, but in the next years, nearly 50,000, and I got a message from my team that today was a new discussion in Europe, in the European Parliament, that maybe even 100,000 companies have to bring a lot of more information in the management report about ESG aspects, which has to be collected, has to be audited, and that's of course a mega opportunity for us. It's a mega chance, but of course it's also a challenge because we are talking about ESG topics. It's not we are auditor, we are from the financial aspect coming, which means we need now physicians, biologists, engineers, or we need cooperation with companies which are expert in these areas, which means big challenge and big chance for us in this market in the next years.
Especially for the green finance market, do you think that it is also a very good opportunities for the professional organization like us to provide the green finance support to the clients to issue?
For us in Europe, it's not a decision. We have to, because from 2026 on, more than 100,000 companies has to publish information about these aspects, and we have to audit it. We have to support our clients, or we have to audit this. So it's for us not a decision. We have to, and if we're not able to do this from 2026 on, we have a big problems, because then we are not in a situation in which we can compete with our competitors.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. And then we change another areas, talking about some technologies. I understand that under the leadership of Michael, Indonesia, SW Indonesia is really innovative, right? Very innovative, a lot of new ideas. And Augustine, do you think about the technologies, I mean, they will give us some impact about to our clients, to our people, and also to the future services that we can provide to our stakeholders?
Okay, sure, definitely sure. No doubt that the technology is there. It's changed the client's automation in business process. So, of course, with the different level, some clients are probably very IT dependent, high IT dependence with the IT environment, complex. The other clients will be less dependent IT, but and very simple IT environments. So, for me, perform the old school audit procedure is not accepted and not efficient. So we must change. We must use the technology within the audit procedures. Of course, and then the question is how to start with this. I think the first one is we must have we call it IT leadership. So we in the decision level must aware that the importance for the using of the IT. The next question is how, because if we're talking about the IT and using the IT, using the technology in the audit, it's talking about the investment in technology. We must be careful because it can be very costly compared to the size of the firms, to the number of the people, the size of the client, right? So when we compute the cost per individual, sometimes doesn't make sense. So in this moment, probably, in my opinions, like it's very good if there's technology platform from the SW Global that can be localized use in the member firms. Okay, I think that's.
How about the ESG services in Indonesia? Can
Okay.
you all share with us some of the insight about this?
Okay, ESG, yeah, I agree with you. This is a very trending topics, environment, social and governance, which is three main elements in measuring the sustainability. It should be involved in the investment decision from the investor, because from the ESG report, the enterprise can share and communicate their contribution in several global issues like climate change, environmental damage, ethical issues in supply chain, or social welfare. In Indonesia itself, the ESG has quickly taken a big step after the government declared its commitment to achieve the sustainable development goal by 2030. In the practical level, the Indonesian Stock Exchange and the financial authority services, in order to create the inclusive and global market competitive, they encourage the enterprise for the transparency of reporting the ESG aspects. Such, for example, they're introducing the green bonds with certain incentives, such as giving discount on the listing fees. And then in this second half of this year, we'll be launching the carbon exchange, should be, and the release the green taxonomy 1.0 version, and then introducing sustainability ticks that can provide the ESG scoring among listing company, requiring the listing company to prepare and publish the ESG report. And
is it now a compulsory requirement?
Yes, for listing company. And then they actively involved in the climate-related financial disclosure. So we ever appointed by Unilever Indonesia to give the third-party verification regarding with their program to reduce the usage of the plastic in the detergent products. And then we also approached by not so many, but 2 or 3 clients. They come to us and then asking about the advisory to prepare the sustainability report, because this is new, just like 2 years ago starting.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we turn to another topics. Family office. You know, family office is also a very hot topic. Okay, in the commercial world, right? And one of the partners told me that if we want to start the family office business in Shine, we should start from here, because a lot of people in here is qualified to be a family office. Okay, so Gordon, hi, Gordon, can you share with us about, because we know that China is one of the countries that they have a lot of billionaires, you know, just the second largest in the world. So when we talk about family office, so do you think that is it any to the family office in China? What is the challenge, and also what are we can to identify any opportunities for these Chinese wealthy families?
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes, just like you mentioned, because the economic in China actually is risen to the second to the one actually. Yeah, yeah. So there is a very huge demands on the family office business. It's gradually becoming the hot topic right now in mainland China. I think it's largely comes from the private-owned business development. This, the government in China actually is really cultivate the development of the private-owned business. Over the past 40 years, actually, this kind of the sector well developed and becoming the very important component for the whole economic, and even participating into the international competition. So in line with this kind of the private business development, the overall wealth in the society is getting to be more and more. So this is the critical reason why the demand of the so-called family office business is increasing dramatically. And when we talk about the private-owned enterprise, we always will mention the characteristics of the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which actually means the overall private-owned business represents 50% of the tax, 60% of the GDP, 70% of total innovation contribution, and 80% of the total society total employment. and even 90% of the numbers of the enterprises. So it's critical component right now for the whole economy. And in addition to the dynamics within the economic in China itself, I also noticed that there is another dynamic evolving. This is the kind of the international movement. Just like we discussed this morning, for example, the geopolitical conflicts, the decoupling, the anti-globalization, and the global economic recession, downwards pressure, etc., etc. Moreover, the Federal Reserve actually raising the interest rate, which almost led to the so-called banking system crisis. So I noticed that the recent news says that a huge amount of the wealth moving from Western countries into the ASEAN area, including probably Hong Kong and Singapore. So this is another drivers behind which lead to the so-called huge demand of the family office business. But I would like to clarify, because there's a different understanding about the family office business. So I would like hereby to try to clarify my understanding. Normally, on the one hand, some of the people will view the major requirement from the high net worth people is the wealth protection and the wealth growing. Based upon this kind of the consideration, so a lot of the financial institutions like the insurance company, fund management company, trust company, as well as the banking, will focus on providing the solution in the wealth management areas. But on the other hand, to me, I think in addition to the so-called wealth management requirement, I think those kind of the high net worth people actually had a lot of other requirements or needs far beyond the wealth itself. For example, the family culture development, the family governance, as well as the enterprise governance itself. For example, the tax arrangement, the next generation children education or identification arrangement. For example, the healthcare management. Even though the corporate strategy services to the enterprise.
Succession plan as well.
Yeah, the succession plan. Because succession plan is really critical right now in China. So to me, I think we as a consulting service provider, we probably need to take this kind of the advantage so that to provide the so-called full scope of the services rather than to focus on the wealth itself. Last, I think there is a very critical dynamic right now in China regarding the family office business, which is more and more people realized that the sustainability is critical right now. So to lead their family business or the enterprise going through the entire development cycle, they need to have the well-designed, the so-called well-designed the governance system, so to help their own family business to pursue the so-called sustainable growth. And this is actually our advantage. So my opinion is to, rather than the wealth itself, we need to consider even more scope of service lines.
Okay, thank you, Gordon. I still recalling this morning, Michael has shared with us the 5C, right, Michael? One of the C is collaborations. And then I would like to invite KB to share with us, because I know that in family office business now in Hong Kong, we have collaborations among our member firm. Shine China, Shine Hong Kong, and also Shine Australia. Yeah. So, KB, can you share with us about more on these collaborations and also what you see about the opportunities and also the future collaboration with all some of the other member firms together?
Thank you, Roy. And then in the morning session, Michael talked about international collaboration. Chairman Cheng also talked about international collaboration, and Marco focused pretty much on one of the initiatives, which is also international collaboration. So I'm now here to give a live cases where we work with the other officers. So I have a chronological table. I just tell the date, and then you see what events happen. Actually, in 2020, Roy and I in Hong Kong, we talked with David Chu from Xiamen International and also Daniel in Australian Melbourne office. So we come to a conclusion that we found that there's a great market demand in China, particularly in the Great Bay Area, where Hong Kong, Macau, and others 9 significant cities are located. So with this demand, then we decided to go ahead with a joint venture agreement. So it has been a year until July 2021, and we first started to draft the cooperation agreement and a series of arrangements between Hong Kong, China, and Australia. So the Xiamen Family Office Limited is formally incorporated in Hong Kong in November 2021. So it means that we have a real entity. We have our own profit and loss account. We have our own investment. We hire our own people. But the shareholders and stakeholders, of course, are all these 3 offices. So up to the April last year, 2022, because just like what Gordon said, wealth management is part of the family office services. So we obtain licenses for carrying out family business wealth management services in Hong Kong. So I can put in more detail. We need investment advice license, we need asset management license, and we need insurance broker licenses as well, so that we are able to serve our clients on the wealth management fund. Recently, just 3 months ago, in February, we in Hong Kong, we organized a 3 parties. We invite all partners in Great Bay Area, in China, and in Australia, in Macau. It's a conference about family office and wealth management. It has been 2 days for all this information. And actually, we have been onboarding clients in the last 2 months. It's largely because the COVID is over, and then we have more international travels and more personal face-to-face interaction. So that's what we have done for the real-life international collaboration. But the keys for this collaboration is we identify, at least for me and Roy, that China is a big market. We have a big market demand for wealth management. Secondly, Hong Kong, we have the proper infrastructure. We have all the licenses that we require, and we have a lot of financial professionals that you can have accountant, lawyers, trust people, tax people anytime you want. But last, as equally as important as the last 2 factors is Australia Melbourne office. We need expertise because Melbourne, that they have been in this business for 20 years, and they have a track record for 75 years in the family office services. So we leverage on this expertise, so we don't build up everything from Hong Kong or from China. We need other offices to support us to build it fast and build it efficiently. So that's what I can report to the audience and my partners.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Hi, I want to continue on the family office business. Hi, Gordon. You have just mentioned that the Chinese private enterprise, actually they face a lot of challenge when they want to pass their wealthy to the next generation. So what you see about the intergenerational inheritance is not so easy in China. So what are the challenges that, or the difficulties that you think the Chinese enterprises encounter?
I once met an entrepreneur in Shenzhen several months ago. He told me he actually explored a lot of the ideas in the inheritance in between the generations. Fortunately, he thinks he's a success because he find out with himself kind of the experiences for the better arrangement regarding the power, wealth, structure, etc., etc. But however, this is really an individual case. Generally, the succession in between the intergenerational, the inheritance actually is really, really difficult. The reason is because of, I think we can find a lot of the reasons on why we need to pay attention on the succession plan. Hereby, I just wanted to figure out a few of the reasons. I think the first one, the most critical one, is age, because the founders of the elder entrepreneur actually is getting to be elder. According to the Forbes, almost the 28% of the entrepreneur, the private owned entrepreneur, actually over 60 years old. And even 10.6% of them over the 60 years old. So the aging actually is the most critical reason for them to considering succession. And meanwhile, traditionally, the first generation of the founder actually distributed on the so-called traditional industry. It's hard for them to consider the innovation because the willingness of the innovation is relatively weak for them. And when we encounter in the new era, for example, the digital economic, for example, the technology evolving, so it's hard for them to plan the so-called business model transformation, because business model transformation is too much complexity. It's really hard for those kind of the first generation founders hand over this kind of the task. And I think another reason is regarding the underlying logic about the economic development. Because in the past 40 years in China, the rapid growth of the economics really depending on the so-called foreign trade, or as well as the land finance. But this kind of the production fact-driven model actually is going to the end. And we are embracing, or we are entering into the new era. The digital type of the economic is getting to be more and more crucial right now. It's really hard for those kind of the adult people to handle this kind of the situation. So considering above dynamics, I think the succession in China is really important, urgent, and crucial. So, when we talk about the succession, I think we need to solve two problems. The first problem is to whom, and the second problem is how.
Great.
So when we talk about to whom, we actually try to articulate a model regarding two dimensions. The first one is the ability. The second one is the loyalty. The ability when we talk about the ability, normally we will say this is the kind of the ability regarding the business management, but it's not only regarding the business leadership. I think the even more important thing is we so-called the leadership, which means we need to find out, identify the successor with the leadership to leading the family or even the enterprise go through the development cycles. In these circles, then the successor needed to have the very insightful understanding on the situation and judgment on the trends and the movement, and he or she has to be demonstrate the empathy, so to communicate with the whole family, whole enterprises, and even he or she need to have the kind of the influence power, so to influence the whole families. So this is the ability. And the second thing, the second dimension is the loyalty. And the loyalty means, because when, just like what I said, the entrepreneur more considering the sustainability of the family and enterprise. So one of the key components is the family culture and the family values. So the loyalty means the successor or the candidate, whether the candidate can stick on or practice in line with the family values. This is the key. So ability, loyalty are two important things or dimensions within our framework. And when we talk about how, actually there is also two things. One is the selecting or even identifying the right candidates. Normally, the entrepreneur can find out the right candidates within the family or the so-called pen family members. And the second source probably is the internal training. And the last one is inviting or introducing the external professional managers. Okay, this is three channels. And in addition to the channels, the entrepreneur have to consider in the transition plan, because the succession may not only means the simple power hangover. It's probably need to have an entire transition plan covering the governance management, governance system, management system, business leadership, as well as the talent development, etc. So it's quite complex. I think we as consultative firms, we can articulate a well-defined framework to help the private-owned entrepreneurs to consider their succession plan.
Thank you, Gordon. KB, I would like, as you mentioned that Hong Kong would like to become a regional hub for the family office. Can you share with us about, do they have any new policies or anything to push this become, make it happen? Because, you know, Hong Kong is always at the competitors with Singapore. Sorry about Singapore office of us. But can you share with us about any new ideas? They have already new policies on these areas.
Okay, thank you, Roy. So now it's a commercial time. So I have to advertise some advantages that Hong Kong is enjoying. So I say sorry again. So
okay,
actually,
1 minute only, okay?
1 minute, okay. In Hong Kong, in March 2023, this year, our Hong Kong government has issued a proper formal policy statement promoting Hong Kong as a family office hub. So we leverage basically on our simple competitive tax system and our free capital investment market. And also we have introduced some kind of a capital investment entrance scheme. So when Roy said that it's comparable to Singapore or other developed countries, so we would have a certain kind of immigration rules based on your wealth. Honest speaking. So Hong Kong, why we are more advantageous in the family office services. We are very close to mainland China. It's important. So a lot of Chinese entrepreneurs, they would like to go to Hong Kong, which is easier within 3 hours. Same language, even same culture, food, and sometimes can be weather. So that's the advantages. So I think that that's the traditional Hong Kong is a super connector. So we just play our role as usual. So Roy, it's 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. Enough. Okay, we turn back to technologies. Dr. Thomas, we know that German companies always is famous in the world is about their innovations, products, and services. And we also know that in Germany, we have a lot of clients that we're helping the clients to be very successful, to help them to be, to give them some innovative ideas how to do this. Can you share with us some cases that Shine in Germany can help the clients to doing on this?
I assume I have 1 minute.
Oh no, you got a few minutes at least.
He treats you better.
Yeah, maybe let's start to have a view on the German economy. If you see the service industry, you see AI topics or innovations, but Germany is still production industry focused. So, and then you have to see that we have to be carbon free in 2050. That means many of the innovations you can see besides automation in the production and so on, but the rest of the innovations are at the moment because and against the background and that we have to be a completely change, or we have to be carbon free in 30 years. This means, for example, you see in the chemistry and in the steel industry the goal that we have to make this production in 10 years with hydrogen instead of gas. This means you need pipelines, you need supply chain of hydrogen, and you need a lot of more renewable energy. This means we can see, and the focus innovations are here. If you look in Germany here, and this is what I can share. For example, you can see a lot of new models and new companies in the renewable area, energy area. For example, we have one client, a unicorn. They had a finance round last year of 300 million. For example, SoftBank invested, and we supported them into analyzing different business models, making them dependent on this business models, the valuation, and helped and supported them to get this finance round and in that amount. Yeah.
Great, thank you for sharing. And Augustine, I would like to see, because we also know that for the advisory services, it's always is important for the professional firm, right? In Indonesia, I know that because we are now, we talk about technologies, AI, blockchain, the new technologies. So how do you see about these new technologies who have the impact on the advisory services on us, especially when we want to have more collaborations among our member firms?
That's very important because it's bring the opportunity for us to find to deliver the high value, first the high value added service to the client. It can tight the bonding with the clients, increase the loyalty from the client, but at the same time we can offering the other services which is out of scope of the financial audit, of course with the considering the independence issue. That's
how about the opportunities for our people? Because people is very important. The new technologies will bring any opportunities for our people as well?
For the people? Okay, sweet. The good things with the people is we work with the young generations. With they get familiar with technology. So this, when we apply the philosophy of IT leaderships, the switching, the process, I think it's not so difficult because infrastructure already there. The example, many that we can see how the other institution, the other entities apply. So of course the IT literate, the technology literate is become a compulsory when we trying to find the right candidate.
Thank you. Okay, so I think the time is, we still have 5 minutes left. Okay, so I would like to, the last questions, invite all the 4 panel members to share with us. Because we know that in the morning, Mr. Chang has already mentioned that advisory services, the growth of this service is much higher than the traditional services, like the audit or tax. And we also know that if we want to have a good positions in the advisory services, we need innovation, innovative ideas, right? So can you share with us about, in your local market, what kind of advisory services that you think that your local market is demanding, and also you can see the opportunities for our organizations? So I invite everyone. Who want to say first? Thomas.
Maybe I start again with the goal of 1 minute. As I already said, I think the ESG topic is maybe the best chance for us because it's related to the topics we have, and it comes automatically because it will be mandatory to audit and to support the companies, which means 50,000, maybe 100,000 companies in Germany has to publish information in this area, and we know these companies. They are our clients. This means it's only a topic of cross-selling because we are auditor, we are a consultant of these companies. It's just we have to convince them that we are the right company to bring this new services to them. This means it's a big chance, and I think we have to get it, but of course the challenge here is we need the people who can serve this consultant area.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Gordon,
Okay.
Yeah, your turn.
I think China's economy actually is entering into the new era. The traditional, the pursuit of the scale actually is go to the end. The government actually is cultivate the so-called high quality development. So in this kind of the circumstance, the 国资委, which means the State-owned Asset Management Commission, published a series of the guidelines to cultivate the enterprises, no matter it's the state-owned or private-owned, or even state-owned or private-owned, to pursue the cultivate this kind of the enterprise to be world-class enterprise, to increase their international competitiveness. So in this situation, actually there's a lot of things need to be considered in the enterprise level, micro level. For example, how to transfer in the entire value chain, including the market, customer, the clients, market obtaining, product designing, the supply chain, human resource, human capital, talent, organizational framework, risk management, even financing, etc. So there's a lot of new challenges just for the Chinese enterprises, and we have kind of the insight on this dynamics, and we try to deploy our capability centered around this kind of the things. For example, the technology services capability, the financing capability, financing consulting services capability. So to help the enterprise in China to increase their competitiveness, not only in the domain or domestic market, but also globally in the international market. So, so we will focus on to develop our own capability in terms of the digitalization, in terms of the financing, merger acquisition, etc., areas.
Okay, thank you. KB? Anything you see?
A few words on the ESG. Although I'm focused pretty much on the wealth management and family office services, but actually quite a few of clients, they come to me, come to my team saying that I want to invest. But I want to invest in some areas where they have social impacts. So it means that they don't ask only for financial returns. They want to reward their societies in a certain extent. So ESG is a very hot topic, and actually ESG is quite a pioneer in Europe, particularly in Northern Europe and in Germany. You are leaders, not in our area.
Okay, thank you. Agustinus, yeah, what is your thought?
I think same with Thomas and Gordon. The green accounting, the carbon accounting is the challenging is a new area because we're talking about the environmental cost reporting, energy report, biodiversity, emissions, water report, and environmental friendly material, which is pretty new and then very challenging. So but the issue here is, do we need to establish our own dedicated teams regarding with this, or enhance the collaborations within with other firms within the network? So it's very, I think it should be considered to establish expertise for this area, but in the global level, so we can make it the interfirm mutual collaborations.
Thank you. In conclusion, I think today's panel we have the discussions on some of the we call it future services like ESG, the advanced technologies, family office, green finance. But the main theme is always focused on the collaborations because I think among the services, the advisory services is most easy to be shares with our member firm. That means we can share our expertise, share our resources. For example, if a case in Hong Kong talking about the ESG, we can invite Dr. Thomas to help us to do some of the ESG support, okay, on these areas as well. So collaboration is always the key of our success. And I think after today, we are very much looking forward to see more and more collaborations between some member firms. Thank you.